Alright folks, 2014 is over, and I think this year it'd be a good thing to make a sort of year-end video on my channel. I didn't do this in 2013, mostly because the channel was much smaller. It had fewer viewers and also fewer videos. But in 2014, having almost quadrupled my amount of subscribers and having done so many videos, first impressions of games, both stereoscopic 3D and in VR, I figured it would be time to do one of those year-end videos. And in this one, what I'm going to do is I made myself a list of favorite titles that I'm going to go over with a pretty special category, actually. And that's pretty much going to be the bulk of this video. I'm going to be doing that while playing a game in virtual reality. 2014 to me was the year of VR. It was mainly that. Yes, I did delve into VR in late 2013 first, and I even got into some development before the new year came around, but it's only in 2014 that things started growing exponentially on me. You can actually see this turning point on my channel. If you look back to videos from June 2014 to July 2014, you can see the transition. At first, I start saying that I'm like spending more and more time in VR, and then the DK2 arrives and just sends me like on VR steroids for months and months, and it hasn't stopped since. So 2014 really the year of VR for me. So that's why I figured I'd honor that theme by playing something in virtual reality as I do this video. And I'm gonna do it old school style. Yeah, the DK1's already old school, motherfuckers. Yeah, that's right. I'm gonna take this old little guy and I'm gonna play a game in it. Now, we're going to pick something unlikely here. I'm going to be playing Race the Sun in the DK1. Why am I using the DK1? Well, it's because I'm using Tri-Definition's experimental DK1 support to run Race the Sun in the DK1. Tri-Def's support has not been updated, unfortunately, with DK2 support, so if you want to use it, you got to use the DK1. Now, it doesn't really matter that much because this game does not have head tracking. I'll explain why. It's not Tri-Def Ignition's fault. Ignition can actually pass the head tracking to the game. Problem is there's no head movement mechanic in Race the Sun whatsoever. So there's nothing to talk to say to pivot the camera. Nothing pivots the camera ever. So this would not be an experience I'd recommend to, say, VR beginners or even VR intermediates. I would not recommend this experience. I did mention in my recent Strike Suit Zero video, that I've become somewhat invincible to bad VR, and it's getting really hard for me, honestly, to gauge the comfort level of an experience, mostly because I don't really feel motion sickness from technical problems with VR anymore. I will still recognize the technical problems, but they won't make me feel they actually don't make me feel wretched at all anymore. So I can actually go ahead and launch something like this and do cool experiments here and there that I would otherwise not have wanted to do like 8 months ago. Oh, you look at that. It actually does have the roll head tracking. I think that's Tri-Def that's able to rotate the 3D content. I'm surprised the GOI stays there. That's pretty cool. Okay, so I sort of lied, I guess. There's a bit of head tracking. I turned on a roll and saw it work. I was like, whoa. Okay, let's get to this. Let's get into VR. Let's start playing this game, and I'm gonna go over what we're gonna do in this video. So, what are we doing in this video? Well, I said I had a list of my favorites for 2014, some of my favorite titles, and not just that, but we're gonna go at it with a theme. That's right. You might have heard me in my recent videos mention that I'm starting to find more and more full games to play in VR. I'm sort of drifting away from that demo stage and moving towards games that have first-party official VR support. And played a lot of them. At least a dozen have been covered on my channel, and I figured I actually have enough to make a top 5 list of my favorite VR titles of 2014. So let's have a crack at it while I'm surprised I'm not dead yet in Race the Sun. I'm talking right now, so it's probably not showing, but it does give me a rush. And every time you jump and every time you take a boost. But what I like with the DK1 in this game is you can get oddly precise, even though you're playing in low res and everything. The stereoscopic illusion is so effective. That you can actually call the shots pretty well. I'm impressed with the results of this little experiment here. Anyways, so let's get to this. Top 5 favorite VR games of 2014 in my case. And we're gonna go ahead with number 5. Number 5 was an easy pick. This would be Half-Life 2. I don't rank it any higher than that, mostly because you need to be somewhat advanced in VR to stomach first-person controls, first-person shooter controls. And it's only when you become an intermediate with the technology that you'll start appreciating the experience without feeling too much discomfort. So it's not the thing you're gonna want to pick up and play right away, but by all means, once you start being able to experience it without any problems, play it, and play it. And you know what? I hope for you that, like me, you're one of those that did not play that game originally and are getting their first impressions directly in virtual reality. I mean, that game feels like you're being airdropped in the middle of North Korea while North Korea is being invaded by aliens, but the government feels it necessary to continue oppressing their own population in the process. That's exactly what it feels like. It feels like you're a totally innocent dude who's been just dropped there. It's a totally fascinating experience. I really enjoyed my battle with the Hunter Chopper. It deserves the number 5 spot. I give it. Right, let's get to wow. I'm running through these regions. I mean, I did screw up earlier, but I'm surprised I am doing this well with this DK1 support and the low res and everything. But the objects are really simple in this game, so I can see really far. So it's oh shit! Oh, not that much of a problem. I'm surprised that didn't kill me. It's not that much of a problem. Pretty much run into the same issues I would in stereoscopic 3D. Holy crap. Oh, I didn't get the jump. Alright. Float. Right, so let's go with my number 4. My number 4 is also an easy pick. And it's higher up on the list than Half-Life 2. You know why? Because anyone can play this. For the Awesome. Yes, that's right. For the Awesome is a great game for anybody in VR. It is a perfect game. The developers have been really open about their support. They've been checking up on players on Steam, asking if it's still working after an update. If it doesn't, they'll help you out. The introduction to it is incredible. The support is incredible. The game is incredible. The sensation of falling at first when I saw videos, I was telling myself, that's not gonna work right in VR. And when I tried it, I shut the hell up. I realized I was dead wrong. Sometimes that's what you gotta do. You gotta realize you're dead wrong. I realized I was dead freaking wrong. There is absolutely nothing wrong with falling like that. It feels almost like you enter a sort of meditation state, a bit like the game I'm playing now, where now I'm talking and I'm just, shit, oh yes, I have a portal. But right now I'm talking and it sort of helps me enter a bubble where I'm just going through the motion, I'm just reacting to what's coming at me. For the Awesome is one of those games, and it works perfectly in VR. It's got that full-blown first-party support. I have played it for about twice what I have labeled on Steam. There was a time where we had to make our custom shortcuts to properly launch the game in virtual reality, and that would cause your hours not to get counted. I have pretty much twice that amount of hours that you see. Damn it. Region 4, eh? That's pretty cool. Anyway, so yes, I have played that game during work breaks in VR. I have played that game at home for hours in VR. It is an excellent title to pick up and play if you have an Oculus DK1 or an Oculus DK2. Alright, let's get on with number 3 because I really like number 3. Number 3 on my list is Star Conflict. It caught me by surprise. Why? Because the reviews were not necessarily positive on Steam. And I realized why after. It's because people are sort of complaining about aspects of the freemium model. But I'll tell you honestly, they're nowhere near as bad as other games. I mean, you can have a good time in that game. And when it comes to its virtual reality experience, it delivers. It is virtually perfect. This is that kind of high motion game that I would even recommend to someone who's relatively new to VR. Somewhere between beginner and intermediate would be appropriate of a level for this game. You don't have to be VR hardened at all. Their support is impeccable. That already goes a long way into keeping you as comfortable as possible, of course within the limitations of what you're doing in the game, which is flying a fucking spaceship and twirling and tumbling and all that stuff. Of course that's gonna get to you, but it's not gonna get to you that much. You'll be surprised. Try it and you will not be disappointed. Star Conflict is one hell of a VR experience that I've gone back to a few times. Of course, my personal time is limited and I'm trying to finish titles lately and do first impressions video, but it is a title that beckons me back every now and then because it is just such a complete, immersive experience. There are so few technical issues, if not none, that you can notice that you forget about the existence of the technology. That's where you know VR is done right. You're in there. You're believing it. That's what I like so much about it. So that's my number 3. Star Conflict is free to play, so it's really not much of a gamble to give it a shot. I mean, just go through the tutorial, their little training, and you're gonna see what I mean. You're not gonna be disappointed. It's really, really worth giving a shot. It doesn't cost any money. All right, it's time for the big guys. It's time for the 2 last ones, and I actually had to juggle them back and forth, and it was hard to do. It was really hard to do. In fact, there's one of them that I included on the list that might be, I don't want to say controversial, might not seem like it belongs there, but screw it, this is my list. Screw you. No, really, number 2 is Alien Isolation. That game just blew me away. That game actually made me procrastinate on a few things to play more VR. That game is freaking awesome. Now, it does not officially have VR support. What they did is, during development, they used the Oculus library that was available at the time, which was a library that existed a little before the DK2 got shipped to folks. So it had that experimental, sort of half-broken DK2 support, and it shows when you're playing it. However, the game is so goddamn good that I've put up with it. I've completely put up with it, and I want to play more. And this is not even a kind of game that I like. I do not like sneaking in games. I like high action, you know, high adrenaline games. I'm not that much for this slow-paced sneaking. But in VR, it worked so well with the alien theme. I was just blown away. It took me a while to even buy that game. It's only when I eventually got around to watching a playthrough by Ephemeral Rift that I finally decided, you know what? That's trolling. That's what I call trolling right there. Anyways, but you know, watching a playthrough by Ephemeral Rift, I was like, you know what, this is gonna work in VR. And I was reminded by that video that this was not my genre of game at all. But something told me in that video, you gotta get this. This is gonna work. This is really, really your pick. And I am not disappointed. I've been juggling on time lately. I want to get back to it. I will definitely finish it using the virtual reality capabilities. But it's really one of those impressive titles that in the first week I started playing it, kept beckoning me to come back and just play another section and play another section. It's an excellent game and does deserve number 2 for 2014. Why am I not putting it any higher? Well, it's because of that support. If they had decided to go full and current support, that would have been undoubtedly my number 1 pick for 2014. But we're gonna get on to my number 1 pick, and a lot of you people are gonna go like, ah, but I can't help myself. I'm sorry, it's iRacing. iRacing is my number 1 virtual reality pick for 2014. It's just perfect. It's what I call VR perfection. I have used iRacing in the DK1 for hundreds of hours, and now building up to a lot over that in the DK2. It's a little nonsensical. Now, most of it is done lapping, because I like to learn tracks. That's what I like to do most in a simulator. But I've done a few races as well. Oh, no. Not paying attention here. But iRacing is just absolutely awesome, and it's the thing that's beckoned me most to get the hell back in the Oculus Rift as fast as I could. It's hours upon hours endlessly just coming back, trying to learn new tracks, trying to perfect old ones. This is something that I've been dreaming of since I was a kid, to be able to experience racing like that on software systems, on something that is not like a full motion system with a seat and a mechanical hydraulic lift on the entire cockpit. I mean, that's, you know, it's kind of expensive. And with this solution, it's just incredible to race. I mean, it's addicting, it's realistic, it's actually helpful. I know that I'm learning valuable information with this tool. So it really, to me, deserves the number 1. Even though iRacing is technically not necessarily a game, I've played a lot of it, if you know what I mean. Oh, no. I've played a lot of it. I've had so much fun with it, which is what a game is supposed to provide, and this is why I have no choice but to put it on the list somewhere. And if I was gonna put it on the list, it had to go on the top. I just like it too damn much. Anyway, so that's the top 5 of VR games for 2014. If you have your own picks, if you have a VR headset and you have your own picks, please, by all means, leave them in the comments. I want to know what they are. I want to have the conversation. If someone says War Thunder, it's time for an investigation. I have to know why you liked War Thunder. Because I thought it was a wretched experience. But hey, this is me. Maybe you liked it. I don't know how you liked it. Maybe you've become ultra invincible to bad VR. More so than I have. But no, seriously, I want to know your picks. I mean, everybody's got different ones, and it's always fun to discuss them and compare them. And maybe, heck, maybe, just maybe I forgot something. Or maybe you know something that I haven't played that I should really play right the hell away. Let me know. I am all open to that. Now, we're going to go on with some more lists, but I'm going to be changing the game soon. And when I do, we're actually gonna go over some more special stuff, some more experimental stuff, along the lines of what I'm doing now. I did a few experiments in 2014 with games that didn't support VR, and there will be mentions to be made about a few of them. Well, I didn't even collect a single bloody boost, but I did get a perfect region. That was good. What would be cool is if the little blue things made you go just a little faster to help you catch the sun, because that's what you're doing in this game, racing the sun. Oh shit, no, that's not gonna work. I just gotta plan my landing, Oh, I had a freaking shield, good. But good. Just in the moment where I say like, I'm gonna get out of this game and go on with my video, start playing it like a Jedi or something. That's what you feel like in this game. I'm saying it like I said about Radial G when I originally tried that game's demo. Damn it. You feel like a Jedi when you manage to do stuff. Alright, time to enter another title through third-party support. This is Viscera Cleanup Detail, Santa's Rampage in the DK1 using tri-definition to run the VR. So we're going to go ahead and give this a shot as I continue over my favorite picks of 2014. I only have 3 titles left. We'll have a few things to talk about. In fact, let's get to one of them before I even start with the 3 titles I have left. There's something that bothers me about year-end coverage in gaming, is that it seems to start earlier and earlier every year. Case in point, this year, I think some outlets started talking about, like, games of the year in October. And this causes like a few problems. One of them, the most important one, being the fact that a lot of games that are released after this year-end talk begins sort of go by the wayside and don't get the coverage they should. I've often seen Game of the Year lists, even released later in the year, that appear to have been done months before the year's actual end, and as a result, you know, you've got a lot of games that have been released at the very end of the year that are not at all on the list. So let's get on with this. I'm doing them after the year's ended. I'm actually, you know what? I think I'm doing it in a pretty good period. This is a period of the year that's like 2 weeks after New Year comes around, where not much happens in gaming in terms of releases and stuff. It's the perfect time to actually go and do your year-end game coverage. You don't start talking about it in October, you talk about it in the 2 boring weeks of January. That's what you do. And I think I'm hitting my mark. Maybe not perfectly, but hey, I'm no pro. Anyways, so let's get on with this. I want to talk about my 2 favorite third-party VR support games. Right now, I'll give you an example of a third-party VR support. I'm playing one. This is Viscera Cleanup Detail, Santa's Rampage. Does not have first-party VR support. You might notice the image glitches around, some things disappear and reappear. This because I'm forcing the field of view through tri-definition, and it tends to make the game glitch a little bit, but I can totally deal with it. Most of what's in my main field of view I see very well. I don't have any problems with it, and like I said, it's sort of grown like ridiculously invincible to bad VR. So not something I recommend to beginners, but this is this is at least it's got head tracking. I mean, in response to your movement. So, but I would say the frame rate is really not that good for VR in this. Anyways, let's get on with this. Third-party support games that were actually really awesome to play in VR in 2014. There are 2, and they're pretty much at a tie. They're at the same level. Shadow Warrior 2013 was a really, really cool experience. I went back into it several times. Now, I did not do a full playthrough. I actually played through Shadow Warrior 2013 in stereoscopic 3D, but I did go back several times in the game after finishing it in order to try it in VR, and I kept repeating the battle against the boss Mezu. I had a whole lot of fun doing that in VR for some reason. It really worked. That battle specifically really worked. So I had a lot of fun playing Shadow Warrior 2013, and I was using Tri-Def Ignition to run it, the same software I'm using now. Another really good third-party support title in 2014 that I played was Portal 2. And that one I'd actually rank as the number 1 that I've played. You know, it's pretty much in a tie with Shadow Warrior 2013, but the difference here is that I actually played through a major part of that game in VR, and it was so believable. It was so convincing that you can see me even in my first impressions video talking back to the characters. I felt compelled to do that. I felt so immersed, so part of the action, and yet this is not a game that was primarily designed with any VR support whatsoever. I had to use Vireo Perception to get Portal 2 operating in virtual reality, and once I got that going, I was really, really surprised with the experience it delivered to me. There were few technical issues. Really, the only technical issue was the pitch centering issue that you get with most third-party support anyways, and Aside from that, it was a fully playable experience. You just have to be careful with your mouse there, and that's it. Just like I am now anyways. It's like that with like 99% of VR support titles. So yeah, Portal 2 was an incredible experience. I'd never played the game before, and a lot of people had told me that that game was really good to begin with. So I had no idea what I was getting into. I mean, puzzle game, that's what you hear, right? You hear the term puzzle game. And you go in this thing in VR, and it immerses you to a point where you're having dreams about the scenery afterwards. It's really that good. Portal 2 was a divine experience in virtual reality. Alright, so I covered those third-party VR games. What's left? Well, there's only one thing left. I didn't want to do, because I was going to do the VR thing, I didn't want to do another list for my favorite games of the year, like that I played in stereoscopic 3D. Now that would pretty much be my games of the year, like for short, but I say stereoscopic 3D because I play everything in stereoscopic 3D. I simply don't know any better. I don't run my games in 2D ever, so I haven't played anything in 2D in 2014, so I would maybe have done a list, like my favorite games of 2014, but I really have one that I want to mention. I've already done the VR stuff. I think that was enough. You know, and I think that's a better turf for me to cover rather than going for like a top 5 of the games overall. But I will mention my favorite game of the year, and it's going to go along with what I said earlier. The game is Shadow Warrior 2013. That game just simply took me on a freaking adventure. I have limited time when I work on this channel. I have limited time to finish the games. I have limited time to play multiple games. It's either I do multiple first impressions video and consume all that gaming time, or I stop for a while and I finish an entire title. Well, Shadow Warrior 2013 compelled me to do the latter. I actually bothered putting aside production for a good while in order to be able to concentrate on that game and finish it, because it was that goddamn good. I even went on to make a full review of it, my first one of its kind, and I really recommend it to anyone who hasn't tried it yet. Shadow Warrior 2013 is an excellent game to play on screens, in VR, in whatever you want to play it. It's just so bloody goddamn cool. The main aspect that really caught me was that katana, because that game basically made me feel like a teenager playing Doom or Duke Nukem all over again. It was really that awesome. But the addition of that katana sort of took what I really liked back then and evolved on it. Unlike today's first-person shooters that tend to try to turn everything into a full-blown simulation, whereas in some cases not even called for. And I think Shadow Warrior 2013 really respected that and brought it down to a first-person shooter. You know, this is not really a retro first-person shooter. There's no such thing as a retro first-person shooter. It's just a first-person shooter. It's not a military shooter. It's not one of those, quote, modern shooters. In fact, Shadow Warrior 2013 is what a modern shooter should be. The classic shooter with good additions to it. The melee combat in Shadow Warrior is unequaled. It's just something you feel fully in control of. It's fun, it evolves over the game, and it gives you so much tools that combat just never gets old. It just never gets old in that game. And they keep tossing enemies at you, so sure enough, that's what you're doing most of the game. So Shadow Warrior 2013 was my game of 2014. And why 2014? Well, my attention was only brought to that game by the year's very end. And I only started playing it a lot in 2014. And I would blame that thing where people start covering their year-end awards in October. I'm not saying that they release the year-end awards in October. They start talking about them in October, which means like they're sort of drifting away from the whole set of games that are still being released in the current year, and then they miss out on a bunch. And I think Shadow Warrior 2013 was a victim of this. It came out late in the year, maybe a little too late, to get more attention in the year-end lists, and I find that unfortunate. Of course, a lot of independent games journalists or bloggers, if you want, they actually covered that game and gave it the praise it deserved, which I'm thankful for. But the mainstream media, a lot of cricket chirping sound over there. There wasn't that much done by the mainstream media about Shadow Warrior 2013. It's a really, really special game to play. Most of the reviews it got were actually pretty good. So when it did get reviewed, it got a really good score. So, I don't know. I think it's unfortunate. I think year-end stuff should be done after the year ends. And as I'm doing now, as most of the guys on the internet right now, I feel like there's so much common sense around me, and it's so comforting. But yeah, I'm really happy to see a lot of the independent guys doing their year-end stuff after the year ends. This is really cool. I can't believe I'm actually saying that's a really cool thing. It should be standard. Anyways, one last thing I want to say before I go. 2014 was a fucked up year for gaming. Anyone who's been around has to admit 2014 has been a fucked up... Oh, fuck you, you stupid distributor. Give me a bucket. Yeah, 2014 has been a fucked up year for gaming. Just a completely fucked up year. Like, just Gamergate by itself was a joke. Ubisoft took most of the share of the ridiculousness. The quality control on Steam. The updates on Steam. I'm not even cool, by the way, with the Steam curators. I don't think it's good. Right now, it's all fine and dandy. It's almost like, shit. It's almost as if, like, they just had YouTube channels on Steam. But I have a bad feeling that that's a great way for Steam to eventually sort of reel in the larger independent content makers into incentives that would get them to talk nicely about some games but not others. Now, most of them have great ethics. They wouldn't go there, but I think that Steam is opening the door to be able to attempt it with Steam curators. Yes, that's what I saw of Steam curators when it came out. The updates on Steam, performance have been dropping. That client has just become terrible. I mean, they're starting to give EA some merit with Origin, and Origin hasn't even been fixed. It's just gotten better by comparison, which is pretty sad. I mean, 2014's been a fucked up year for gaming, but the one who takes the top, and this is how I want to end this video, the one who takes the top is Ubisoft. And the main thing, we all know what they did, okay? We all know what they did. Look at my mom. We all know what they did. I don't think they meant to start a debate. I don't think they meant to start a debate, but sort of cornered between two walls, Ubisoft went out and said something stupid in 2014, and that was that 30 FPS was more cinematic. And that sort of opened the debate all the way to going in full-out retardation mode. Some people trying to say that 720p was better than 1080p. It's been a retarded year in that respect. And is it Ubisoft's fault for starting that? Well, in part, yes, but what happened is Ubisoft did something stupid and the community subsequently failed. It failed hard. And I know there's a lot of people with a lot of common sense watching this video right now going, yeah, but I knew that, yeah, I know, but too many people fell for it. It was pretty sad, and I think Ubisoft were laughing their asses off when they saw the reaction to what they clearly knew was shit talk, okay? Ubisoft can't come out and say, yeah, our games have problems running because of the in-game scripts that manage the assets. It has nothing to do with the graphics. So what we do is we shit down the performance on all the systems to the lowest common denominator so our product looks the same across the board. They cannot come out and say that. But the problem with Ubisoft is they actually say something anyways. Shut the fuck up, Ubisoft. We'd be better off that way. Everyone will be happier if you keep your freaking yaps shut. You never make things better. You only make them worse. And in 2014, you made the gaming community go full fucking retard. Anyways, I hope 2015 is going to be a year of soul searching for both the community and AAA development. Search your souls, people. Search your souls. Ubisoft, get your brass together and talk about those little game launches that don't go so well. You might want to You might want to stop doing that because eventually it's your bank account that will greatly suffer. If we lose Ubisoft in gaming, it would be devastating to the economics of gaming itself. It would really damage things. I mean, Steam is a big component. Oh, come on. Steam is a big component. EA is a big component. Ubisoft's a big component. One of them goes, gaming's going to be in trouble for a few years. We don't want to see that happen. So please stop acting stupid and releasing your games halfway through. Finish them. Delay your release. Do it like BioShock Infinite. Do it 3 times over if you have to. Delay your releases. Play it safe. You gotta play it safer, guys. At least for a little while until you can feel confident that your software is good enough to quickly just unleash games one after another. Until then, you really have some soul searching to do. Community, there is no such thing as 30 frames per second being better than 60 frames per second. Objectively, in every possible case, 60 frames per second will be better. Scientifically, just there's no debate. It does not exist. The debate is only something that is a figment of all your imagination. There is no debate. I personally wouldn't even bother having the discussion because there's no discussion to be had. 1080p is better objectively than 720p. Let's not go full retard in 2015. Let's try to have real conversations, like the kind of games that come out and how we should be playing them. VR is going to take even more space in 2015. We're going to have to be talking about that. People are going to have to be talking about their first experiences. Did you like it? Is it that jarring the first time around? Do you think it'll be sustainable for you? Me, well, I can answer that question pretty freaking easily. You know what the answer is going to be, of course. But you never know. You could actually have a wave of people that say this is really jarring to get used to. You know, like I said, I've become invincible to bad VR. It took me a while to get there. Some people might not have that patience. All those little things worry me, and I can't wait to see how it unfolds because now it's time for it to unfold. Whether it's too late or too early or not, I don't know it, but it's time. It freaking like people want to see it at this point. That's what's important. People really, really want to see it happen. So that's it. To that, I'll repeat, of course, as I did in my, I believe, Strike Suit Zero video. Happy New Year, people. I know we're a few days into it, but still, the majority of it has not yet passed, so Happy New Year. And I'm cleaning up right now because Santa went apeshit. Santa went apeshit because you see all these gifts here. He knows a lot about gaming consoles because he ships all this shit to kids. He basically just lost it. When he saw the debate, quote unquote, about 30 frames per second maybe being better than 60 frames per second, he went apeshit and he killed all the elves. He mutilated them. He tossed them around. Look at this. I mean, this is a complete freaking mess. He really lost it. And I've been sent to clean up after him. And I just got to make a mention, if someone bought you a gift this year, I'm sorry, if you got a gift from Santa this year, that's bullshit. This year someone bought it to you and it ain't Santa. Santa retired. Santa is, the police is looking for him. I got to do the cleanup here. And this is all because of the full-out retardation of 2014 that I hope stops in 2015. Who knows? Maybe they'll forgive Santa for all these murders. And we'll see him next year. Alright. Thanks for watching, people. I'll see you soon.